This build video is for page 9, section E of the 4DMaster Saturn V rocket in 1/100th scale. And this is a continuation of the second stage rocket components. This section was put together through the instructions on page 8. A couple things I noticed is that these pieces have some flash or part of the sprue from where the part was molded. So to give it a cleaner look, I just want to scrape off, I don't know if you can see that, this little piece here. Some people wouldn't care, but also where it has to fit into it might be a tight fit. So there's 3 of these. I'm just gonna scrape off this little piece. Most of the pieces have been pretty clean. Just noticed these 3 have it. However, this got cut off the mold, or the sprue, left a little bit of residual sprue there. And then these 4 pieces, while they look identical, 2 of them are similar, and then 2 are different, and they're numbered differently too. So as you can see, these 2 are fairly similar on their attachment points, whereas this one differs and this one differs. And we'll go over where they go on to the section of the rocket in just a minute. So we'll do this in order of the numbered parts. So these pieces are number 38, and they get attached to this ring section, which is part number 36. You can see they have the 2 keys, which will line up with these 2 holes. Looks like all the pieces are pretty much the same for the 38s anyway. It's a press fit. It's pretty tight, so these don't seem like they would need any glue. And then there's one more, and there's a little outline of the actual piece. So it nests in there fairly well, plus it's fairly obvious where it goes. And again, that's a pretty good fit. That's not gonna go anywhere. You've got 3 of those. And then the clear piece is 37. And that'll go in this direction. And again, like the other clear pieces, we'll work to not get our fingerprints on the inside. So it's got 2 notches. It's got a notch here and a notch here that fit into corresponding notches. Just flex it in a little bit. It seems to stay pretty well once it's in there. And then this piece will fit onto this part of the rocket. If you notice, this kind of looks like a minion from Despicable Me, doesn't it? So anyway, this has a large, for lack of a better term, key or slot. It only has the 1 slot, it looks like. And the window will go line up with this one, so that'll be pretty straightforward. And then the painting also lines up too. holds together pretty well. I guess the fear would be this should fit onto stage 1, that they hold together tight enough that if you grab the rocket by here, that stage 1 doesn't just drop out and hit the floor. So we'll have to test that a little bit later. So the next pieces would be, let's see, if this is 41, and you'll see that each of the next pieces actually has a little outline of where it's supposed to go and corresponding pins usually. What's interesting, these aren't protruding out perpendicular, but at an angle. I don't know if I can show you that. So they're actually pointing to the left. So we'll slide it in from the left. Once it's in there, it stays pretty good. Could be worth some glue, but we'll worry about that later if they start falling off. And then 42 through 45, although I don't know which are which. So I'm just going to go by the slots that they match in. So you have this one with 2 straight slots that are separated fairly far apart. So that's a unique piece versus these other 2 that are the same. You can see, should be able to see where they line up. It's pretty much a press fit. And I guess unless it was dropped, that's generally, you can get it out, but it seems like it wants to stay in there. Here's another one with 2 pins pointed to the left. Matches this piece, sliding in from the left. And that stays in pretty well. I haven't looked in the reference book as to what these are, but I think they're covering for the conduits or the piping. I'm guessing that goes from the hydrogen tanks down into the rockets. They bypass the liquid oxygen tank on the outside. So I assume that's for aerodynamic for the rocket. And then you have these pins, which actually will help keep together these 2 pieces. They match up. And that'll keep those 2 locked together. And then you have another one on the opposite side. And this is piece 48. I was actually supposed to put it in here, but I put it in on the previous build video. It just drops in there. These pipes should line up towards the front. Then you have piece 49. That is keyed on both sides. So you have a big fat key here which doesn't match here. So you're looking for these 2 keys. Big one, a smaller one, and it'll line up with this key and this key for the smaller one. So we'll take this small key and line it up. And that also helps to keep the stage together. I would think it'd be worth putting some super glue on this unless you really wanted to take this apart later. That way if somebody picked it up, this section wouldn't just drop out from weight. Somebody say picked it up from here, This whole section could drop out if it was attached to the first stage. So that looks to be the end of the build for the second stage. Fairly straightforward. You have the see-through for the liquid oxygen tank. This would be the hydrogen. You have the J2 rockets. Pretty cool.